Hello, I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. 30 years ago, Elektra Records released Better Than Ezra's Deluxe, one of the best-selling albums ever by a New Orleans rock band. My guest today was the singer, guitarist, and primary songwriter on that album and every subsequent Ezra album. He's also a hit-making songwriter for other artists and the co-founder of the Pilgrimage Music Festival in Tennessee, even as he continues to record and tour with Better Than Ezra. Here to talk about all that and more is Kevin Griffin. Kevin, welcome to Let's Talk, sir.
It's so good. I feel honored and humbled to be on your show, Keith. You've been doing this as longer than we have, so kudos to us.
I remember posing Better Than Ezra, the members of Better Than Ezra, in a hot tub for a photo shoot for Offbeat magazine in the early 90s.
You know, I gotta say, if people don't know, I mean, you've been a part of our journey from day one. You've always reviewed our albums when they've come out, and we've done interviews with you over the years, and I've got to see how your career has evolved, and I love it, man. So it's a pleasure to be here and celebrating 30 years of Deluxe. It's crazy that it's 30 years.
Well, I appreciate all those kind words, and I love these kinds of exercises where I'm going to say to you that the number of years that have elapsed between now and Deluxe are the same number of years between Deluxe and the Beatles' Rubber Soul album.
Exactly. Two seminal works that are neck and neck. Impact from the pop canon, Keith.
Indeed. Well, look, in terms of New Orleans rock, like I said in the intro, I mean, Deluxe sold over 1 million copies back when records still actually sold physical copies.
Yeah.
So that's a landmark record. Those songs still get played on Sirius XM. I mean, those songs still have life.
There's a lot of love for those songs. A lot of recurrent play. Still used in syncs all the time. I get emails from my publisher at least once a week about a usage for one of those songs. So there's something about that, about those collection of songs that's special. And the way we recorded that album, it was on half-inch analog tape, which now everything is digital. And so if you know anything about it was 16 tracks. That's almost hobbyist level quality, but our engineer and producer, who was so gifted, that it just has a vibe, and has stood the test of time.
Dan Rothschild, is that who that was?
Dan Rothschild, whose father was Paul Rothschild, who produced The Doors, and he was the producer of the 60s.
And when you're talking about syncs, you're talking about the songs being licensed for commercials or TV or movies, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Synchronization, placements. It's syncs or synchronization is literally, lining up a song with the moving image. So that's the lingo in the business, syncs.
I was just letting folks know. Yes. So you still make a decent amount of publishing income from those songs then, I guess, right?
Oh my gosh, those songs, the cumulative effect of being around so long means that your publishing is still a very viable ongoing concern, that you do everything you can to help it continue its relevancy. Like we do new versions of songs, remixes, remasters, and then like a lot of bands, we've re-recorded faithful re-records of some of the biggest songs that we use when we do get a placement sometimes. Because Warner Brothers still has the rights to the master, but this is a behind the curtain kind of thing for the music industry. If we'll get an offer for a certain amount of money to use Good, for example, we'll say we'll do it for that, but we'll actually do it for a little less if you use our master, our re-record of the original, which is, you can't discern any difference. So there's a lot of things that go on, in the background of the music industry, even for a band like Better Than Ezra.
So just like Taylor Swift re-recorded her albums as Taylor's versions, you've got Kevin's versions of a lot of the Better Than Ezra songs.
We've thought about calling it Ezra's version, just a blatant rip from Taylor, but we haven't yet. Yes, but that's the same deal. You want to, these days, the master is the most lucrative thing for bands, the master or the actual physical recording. So re-recording is a smart endeavor.
Absolutely. You mentioned looking behind the curtain of the music industry. The cover of Deluxe had a curtain on it with a hand kind of reaching up behind. What was the concept for that cover, or was there a grand concept? I never did quite get it.
There really is. You know, the great thing with that record, all the recording, all the expenses, the production of 2,000 CDs, and all the artwork we did ourselves, and it cost us about $8,200, $8,200.
Wow.
Now it went on to go platinum for us. The next album, Friction Baby, which we did at Kingsway at Daniel Lanois' old studio, cost $500,000 to make and sold about half. So it just goes to show you, it's not the money you put into it, it's the spirit in the songs. But back to your question. So Tom Drummond, our bass player, and I, we already loved the name Deluxe as a title for the record. So we thought we would lean into deluxe and it being kind of gaudy. So we went down to East Los Angeles. We were living in LA. We made the album in LA in an apartment in Dan Rothschild's apartment in West Hollywood, California. We went to East LA where the Garment District is, and we got some red velvet. We got all these little trinkets, and we thought, oh, it'd be kind of cool if it looked like a red velvet curtain. So that's the premise we were kind of trying to go for. And if you look at the cover of Deluxe, it's a macro view of red velvet. So it was our attempt to make it look like a red velvet curtain, very deluxe, very, very expensive.
And the whole thing, album recording and pressing up CDs for $8,200.
$8,200.
That was the best $8,200 you ever spent.
Oh my God, it's amazing, and I use it as an example all the time to people that it's not about the amount of money you have. It's really about the spirit of the songs. It's the performance. It's the moment too. And the second album, which costs so much more, didn't do as well. And these days, musicians have even more tools. They can make a hit record on their laptop, and it happens all the time. So it's about the spirit. Never fall into the trap of saying, oh, I just wish we had more money to record on this system. No, just record it, capture it. And if it's great, there's something about, even in this day of so much music, so much noise, authenticity in a great song still rises above.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Better Than Ezra's Kevin Griffin. Talking about songs, Good was the signature song off of that record, which has endured. Yes. Probably, well, it may not be actually your biggest hit overall, though. I mean, because you've written for other artists, and a couple of those artists have had some really big hits. I'm thinking of the Sugarland song, Stuck Like Glue, which was a #1 song for Sugarland, and I think one of the most, did I read somewhere, one of the most downloaded or most streamed country songs of all time or something?
It's in the top, I think it's number 10 now is in the most downloaded country songs of all time. Sugarland's Stuck Like Glue. The Howie Day song I wrote, Collide, which I did in my studio on Terpsichore in the Lower Garden District here in New Orleans, which now is Trombone Shorty's studio.
That's right. The old, what was it, Fudge Studios? Is that what y'all called it?
Fudge Studios. But Good is the song that put us on the map, and it's the big single. In the Blood and Rosalia did really well, but Good is the song. And it's these 4 chords with the C7 at the end of the chord progression, which was how you made it a 90s rock song. You had to throw in the 7, so there was just a hint of evil. Just a little taste of it.
Was there a guidebook, a reference book that you guys said, okay, these are the chords we need to put in there? I mean, was there like an actual manual?
It's found buried in Phil Anselmo's backyard.
Oh, Phil Anselmo from Pantera, yes.
Pantera.
Yes. North Shore, the North Shore is Phil Anselmo.
No, I'm not sure if Good came out before Screaming Trees Nearly Lost You, but there's that 7th chord. It was just something you heard a lot in the Pixies music. I think that's probably where I got it, because the chords Good, it's 4 chords, are G major, D major, E minor, and C major 7, and that 7th made it just have a thing. It just made it unique. 4
chords in the truth, as they say.
4 chords in the truth, brother.
The whole album is solid, though. I mean, it wasn't just about Good. I mean, the whole album was great. And you guys played the whole thing in its entirety during the 2025 Jazz Fest over at the Fillmore. I'm assuming you had done that before, right? That wasn't the first time you played the entire record, was it?
We did the entire record actually in 2009, I believe. If you recall, Better Than Ezra had a destination Mardi Gras event called Crew of Ruckus. We did that 3 years in a row.
Right.
Where our fans from around the country, we put travel packages together. We had grandstands on St. Charles Avenue. We loved it. It was amazing. After 3 years, we're like, we would break even every year. So, that was a good time. What was your question again?
Well, I was just saying, playing the whole record in its entirety. I mean,
oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
So, the first year, we said every year we'll play one of our seminal albums. The first year we did deluxe, start to finish. But this time we woodshed it in my studio in Franklin, Tennessee, 2 weeks ago, and we had strings. We had John Grow on the keyboards of John
Papa Grow.
Papa Grow Funks.
Yep.
Papa Grow's Funk, and it was amazing. And digging into those songs, to your point, the album wasn't just about good. There was a lot of songs that still have a lot of staying power and are some of our fans' favorite. And the thing that for me was really fun to do was go back and look at the lyrics. And now that I'm in my 50s, I look back and I'm like, wow, these are the lyrics I wrote when I was in my early 20s. And I could see the books I read and all my references. And it was fun to go back and look and listen to the stuff. And we even opened up the multi-tracks and soloed things, so we played it accurately. And what was nice was like, wow, these kids we were good. It was we didn't have much, but the performances, the lyrics and stuff, and it just goes to show you, it stood the test of time. But that collection of songs was the culmination of probably about 30 to 40, early originals, and those are the ones we culled from it that kind of rose to the top.
And there were songs that you guys wrote when you were students at LSU, a lot of them, right? I mean, that's kind of where it all started, was on the LSU campus. So
LSU campus, songs like This Time of Year, Killer Inside is about, I used to love reading crime noir novels and Jim Thompson's famous novel, The Killer Inside Me. So it is a tour of my education, being an English major at Louisiana State University. Go Tigers.
There you go. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Kevin Griffin from Better Than Ezra. The band's success led to all kinds of interesting scenarios, but as an LSU student, as a guy who lived in New Orleans for a long time, one of the best had to be that Better Than Ezra got to play at the Saints Super Bowl victory party directly after the game in Miami with, I think Kenny Chesney was on the bill as well, playing at the hotel there with you guys.
It was an amazing experience. Anybody who lives in New Orleans knows there's a real, we really embrace our own and support. Unlike other cities, I've had so many different bands talk to me like, man, I'm so jealous of y'all's relationship, the fact that you're from New Orleans, because they support you so much. Case in point, it's a small pond, New Orleans. So it's not surprising that I got to know Coach Payton and Mickey Loomis and Drew Brees and all those guys. And we would do different little parties for the Saints. Fast forward, or at that point, or rewind, at this point, to 2009, that amazing season where we, in February of 2010, played the Colts in Miami. Yep. And so we got the call to go down, be flown by the team down to New Orleans, get put up in the team hotel, I think it was the Millennium, and play the victory party. So my brother flew in. Everybody was closest to us, and we got to ride on the team bus from the hotel up to the stadium. In that team bus was James Carville, the Archbishop of New Orleans, Kim Kardashian, and her mom, because Kim was dating Reggie Bush. Right. And now this sounds like a joke, The Archbishop of New Orleans, James Carville, and Kim Kardashian on the bus.
Walk into a bus, yeah, right.
Bam. But it was amazing. You know, obviously we won. I got to share that with the band and my brother, and then we went back, you know, to the hotel. We played the victory party. I just remember it being awash with sprays of Dom Perignon. And, you know, it's rare. And, you know, we had the presence of mind in the moment to say, this moment like this is never going to happen again. This is such a gift that we really enjoyed it. And there was I think around 4 a.m. There's a photo of me holding, or I'm kissing the Lombardi Trophy with champagne all over, and Coach Payton is on the other side of the ball, and we're like kissing it. It's amazing. But yes, that was a once in a lifetime moment.
I was at that party, and I remember at one point seeing the Lombardi Trophy crowd surfing. Like, I don't remember if it was during your set or Kenny Chesney's set, but the thing was actually being handed. I'm like, is that gonna just disappear tonight? Is somebody gonna walk off with the Lombardi Trophy?
Chesney was tanked. I think it's a song and a half. And for Kenny Chesney to be tanked, you know he has drank a lot because the man's got some tolerance.
Yeah.
It was, needless to say, everybody felt terrible. Coach Payton didn't go to sleep because the next day he was live on ESPN, and he was barely making discernible words, coherent words.
As you say, though, a once-in-a-lifetime experience for all involved.
My
all
God,
involved.
it was amazing.
One of the other, I mean, not that you necessarily need any sort of affirmation, but the fact that Taylor Swift covered your song Breathless.
Yeah.
She did it, I think, at a New Orleans arena show here back in the day, and on a telethon at some point too. That's pretty cool that she picked up your song and did it.
It was amazing. You know, we started hearing around 2010 or 9, 10. She was covering Breathless and also another song from that album, Our Last Night, which is really cool. You know, because when you're a band, you want people to get into and like your later albums, not just the original or the biggest album. So the fact that she only knew that album was really cool, and it was super flattering.
Yeah, that was the what album was that? That was
that's Before the Robots.
Before the Robots, right?
Before the Robots album that we made in New Orleans and in Los Angeles, and we heard she was doing it. Covers, and it was just when you could start to go onto YouTube and see it. So we would see her performing in different places, and around that time, as if you recall, that terrible earthquake hit Haiti, and they did the Hope for Haiti telethon, which is still the most watched live telecast ever. George Clooney and Sean Penn put this together, and 2 days before we got a call from Taylor's representatives that she wanted to do Breathless, you know, and that's track 12. It's the last song. We didn't play it at all. It was the newest song that we recorded for that album. So often when a song makes it under the wire, it gets put at the end because you just don't know how good it is or whatever. So it gets buried. She found it. Needless to say, we play Breathless now in concert. But that was an amazing moment to have her, and certainly helped our fan base. And then I got to know Taylor and Tree Payne, her publicist.
Yep.
But you know that it's always fun being able to write a song that another artist records or performs. It never gets old.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is Kevin Griffin from Better Than Ezra. Talk about writing for other artists. You lived in Los Angeles for a while after Katrina, and then you ended up moving to the Nashville area because you were doing so much songwriting with folks out of Nashville. Since being in Nashville, you've also co-founded a very cool music festival called the Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival. Over the years, you guys have had Foo Fighters and Dave Matthews Band and Chris Stapleton and Justin Timberlake. This fall in September, you're going to have John Mayer and Kings of Leon headlining it. Were you trying to be the Quint Davis of Tennessee by co-founding this festival?
You know, in a matter of speaking, yes. Although I'm a lot taller than Quint.
Yes.
You know, so you know. Doing a music festival was one of those things that we would talk about, my group of friends, you know, over cocktails. Like, oh, we got to do a music festival. Because I realized that being in a band, I know all the people who can be your production manager, your side ops, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it was always something in the back of my head. And, me and my partners, Michael Whalen and Brant Wood, all knew each other from New Orleans. We've all grown up going to Jazz Fest. So we knew, so our references were Jazz Fest, Jazz and Heritage Festival. So when I took that jog the day after Thanksgiving in 2013 and found myself out at Harlansdale Farm in the heart of Franklin, Tennessee, and I was catching my breath, I was like, this is the most beautiful site for a festival I've ever seen. And I ran home to my buddies, and we made a conscious decision to take the DNA, what we loved about Jazz Fest here in New Orleans, something that celebrates the best music of the region, the best foods, the best artisans, the best merchants, and also the culture. That was the DNA from, we were unabashed saying, we got the idea from Jazz Fest in New Orleans, and to bring it to Middle Tennessee. And it's been an amazing journey. And you're right, this year we've got John Mayer, Turnpike Troubadours, Kings of Leon, Sam Fender, who is the British Bruce Springsteen. It's a great lineup.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the guys that co-founded the Bonnaroo Festival also in Tennessee, the Superfly team from New Orleans, they also were inspired by Jazz Fest. So, Jazz Fest is inspiring all the festivals in Tennessee now, apparently.
And Jazz Fest, we're used to this amazing festival, but forever it was an anomaly, because it was a multi-genre festival that was family friendly. And most festivals are one thing. It's all heavy rock or hip hop or EDM and stuff. So when we started Pilgrimage, maybe even for the Bonnaroo guys, I can't speak to that, and Bonnaroo is amazing. We were like, we want it to be multi-genre, we want it to be family friendly. And what Jazz Fest taught us was that you can have something that's family friendly and super cool and interesting and relevant and authentic musically, and they're not mutually exclusive. They can live together, and so that was always our goal. We'd love to, 40 years from now, have a 50+ year career like Jazz Fest, but we're in year 11.
I noticed that Better Than Ezra seems to get a gig at the Pilgrimage Festival every year. Do you guys have the nicest dressing rooms of all the artists there?
We don't have a dressing room, Keith. When I started the festival, I didn't want to perform because I wanted it to be about the purity about what it was and the acts we booked. And also I didn't want to give anybody any ammunition like, hey, that guy from Better Than Ezra started a festival and guess who's playing? But after year one, I had musicians and other people come to me and say, why aren't you playing your own festival? That's stupid. People are coming because they would love to see your band. And so this has been the yearly show we do in the Tennessee area, and we always have a bunch of guests, and we mix it up, and it becomes an event. So now it is shameless self-promotion.
I love it. We've got 3 minutes left here. I have to say, it seems like Better Than Ezra is in a good place right now. You finally made James Arthur Payne, who's been playing with you guys for years, an official member of the band, it looks like.
An official member.
Official member, so congratulations to Jim Payne on finally getting in there. You guys are still doing new music. Last year, 2024, you put out a record called Super Magic, which I think is studio album number 10 at this point, something like that. You guys are still interested in making new music. You're not just playing the deluxe album over and over.
And thank you for your research, Keith. I'm guessing you don't even have cue cards.
Not at all, baby. I'm just looking at a camera. So
look, I love it. We're having more fun playing music now than we ever have, and the crowds and to be quite honest, the guarantees to go do shows are better than we've ever had.
Wow.
And but Better Than Ezra is kind of a great example of perseverance. We got together. Our first rehearsal was in March of 1988. It took us 7 years to get signed. Nothing ever fell into our laps. It was always. We were out. We were the quintessential get in the van, play for $50 in pizza, sleep on floors. Halfway through your show, can we sleep somewhere? So we worked hard for it, but we never quit. And I tell this to people all the time, I'm like, my career and Better Than Ezra's career is because we just haven't quit. If you're good and you just keep doing it and you keep putting new music into it or new effort into it, it just keeps reinventing itself. And you'll have moments where maybe you're not as hot or people aren't coming to the show like they were, and then you stick around, suddenly it's back. And we're in this kind of era now of 90s love, and so many of our fans, are in their 40s, or maybe they're empty nesters and they're coming to the shows, and it's amazing. Now they're bringing their kids. I still haven't seen, 3 generations yet, but it's coming.
It's coming. Last 90 seconds. I mean, you talk about the history of the band. I mean, you guys have been through it all over the course of that.
Oh my God.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll, divorces, lawsuits, ex-managers, ex-drummers, all this sort of stuff. It seems like, though, you all are in a very good place. I mean, we were speaking off air. I mean, you're 10 years sober at this point. It seems like as a group and as individually, you guys are in the best place you've ever been.
Absolutely. And you start off in life saying, that'll never happen to me. And then something happens in your life. You're like, well, that happened, and that happened. And then hopefully, you over those years, you get some self-awareness, and you want to better yourself in different things. And Better Than Ezra has been this vehicle, this group of friends that I've gotten to experience so many of life's ups and downs and twists and turns. And like I said, when I'm on that stage and I'm playing with songs like this past Saturday night at the Fillmore, I always have this moment like, I get to do this crazy job. This thing that I first wanted to do when I heard Elton John and Kiss so many years ago, and picked up my dad's classical guitar and I want to learn how to play it. I get to do that for a living, and I'm 56 years old, and I get to do that now, and it's sold out at the Fillmore. It's a blessing, man, and it's the best job ever. And we show no signs of stopping. In 20 years, me and you will still be doing this, Keith, and we'll talk in 20 years.
Well, I look forward to that. Congratulations on all your success, your continued success, and I wish you well down the road.
Right back at you, Keith. Love you, pal.
All right. Once again, that has been Kevin Griffin from Better Than Ezra. I'm Keith Spera. I will see you again next time on Let's Talk.